Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hue Living Room. It is spring. The snow is melting. The sun was shining for part of the day, and it feels like we're getting back a little bit to normal. So tonight, we're going to have a very interesting conversation, and we're going to open up the doors shortly. But I just want to say I'm wearing bright yellow in honor of spring, and thank you so much to Leonard Taylor. You are a mastermind of making women feel great. And an extra bonus to all of you people out there, if you're a first-time shopper, go to leonardtaylor.com and do your spring shopping. And when you check out, use the code ILikeYou20 for 20% off. All right, so the evening's starting off great. Let's welcome all of our fabulous ladies here tonight. Hello, Sherry. Hello, Nancy. Hello, Sylvia. We are going to have a few more drop in, but you know what? The doors are always open to the Hue Living Room, as always. So thank you so much for joining us. So we're going to get right down to it. We're talking about livelihoods, business, our passions, our dreams. And for a lot of us, it's been tough, especially over these last 2 years. So I am going to start off with Sherry Sobey, a very familiar face and definitely someone that has passion and love for Winnipeg. So Sherry, if you can, share your story, your current story, that I guess maybe starts off not so great, but in the end, there is a silver lining, so to speak.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, Tracy. So yes, a pandemic definitely has done a number on many small businesses, and essentially mine, after 2 years of really trying to hang on to that life preserver, could not any longer. And so I made the very difficult decision to close my business after 10 years. And as hard as that was, it was more hard dealing with the stress, the unknowns. And so I'm feeling really good about the decision at this time. I'm also a firm believer in, that we gathered, experiences to move us forward. And so I am very much looking forward to taking all that I've learned these past 10 years and doing something positive with that. And I'm definitely really fortunate that I have a community that supports me with the Made to Grow project, which I'm one of the co-founders of. And that's really made such a difference for me, just knowing that I have their support, their encouragement, and those connections that, that I've been able to nurture there.
Okay. What was it like, though, for you on a personal level, Sherry, to come to the decision to close your doors on something that you thought of? You did it.
Yeah, you know what? I always have to go back to the why. Why was I doing what I was doing? And I started this business because of a health issue, and to enlighten others, and to be able to give them the products that were going to be safer for them, safer for the environment. And the more that I was able to start, connecting locally with makers, it just made such a difference. And it was so much more empowering too. I really felt like that I was making a difference there. And, when you hear somebody's story about, why they're doing what they're doing, it's so much easier to support that. So when I reflected back to that why did I start this business? I realized that, what my health was what got me into it, and my health was what was going to take me out of it. I wasn't enjoying what I was doing for the last 2 years. It was not how I typically felt. I was excited all the time to go into work. I was excited all the time to be meeting new people and helping them. I really did excel at those customer relations. That's what I think made me a little bit maybe more different than how other people, operated retail establishments. Wasn't about the sale. I genuinely cared about people's health. And but yeah, it took all of that away from me during the pandemic. And as much as I tried to pivot and find new ways of operating, it really wasn't serving that why. And so, yeah, I just made that decision based on that. And I guess also see that the universe kind of throws you pebbles along the way that try to get you to move in a different direction. And then, I literally had a brick thrown at me with a car accident. And, even trying to recover from that and trying to manage my business now with no employees because I've had to lay them all off. It was like, wake up, Sherry, like this is enough.
Okay. Well, we're going to get into, I want to find out more about all of these grants and, the government help to help all of these small business people in a minute. But I'm going to go to Nancy, and Nancy and Sherry are, I'm going to say, cohorts or partners in crime. I mean, they both of them have founded this Made to Grow project that we'll talk about more. But for yourself, Nancy, you are a business owner too. And you're in an interesting situation because you were probably not eligible for a lot of these so-called, I'm going to call them handouts because, that's what everybody perceived them almost to be, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So I'm a service-based business. My name is Nancy Dutiaume. I am a makeup artist and have been for 23 years. So I actually have a on-location hair and makeup company. So what happened in the beauty industry, in the wedding industry, and then as well with hair salons and estheticians, which we fall under that category, we were all closed. So it was for a total of 15 months because we were the very first one to close and the very last one to be opened. So it was significant. And it was one of those things where it wasn't like you could just shut it down. I was busy 40 hours a week just trying to reschedule, 100 weddings. And when I actually started to count how many weddings that we were rescheduling, it was just simply overwhelming. And just trying to keep it all organized, it was like an administrative nightmare. And what people forget is now I'm also a mom of a young boy. So now on top of it, we have our kids at home. And suddenly our partners are at home. And we're trying to balance all of these things while you're still working full time. And now I was lucky enough to be doing that from home. It didn't change the level of stress that I'm not alone in that many, many moms were experiencing and business owners. So it was really challenging as well because the wedding industry itself wasn't really recognized with a lot of grants. It took a lot of letters. It took a lot of collaboration with the wedding industry to try to get some recognition. And then on top of it, we're not a regulated industry. So just even finding how we were supposed to go ahead in this industry and try to keep our clients safe when we're face to face, there's no 6 feet apart in what we do, using tools to actually go right and products to go right onto the client's face. These were all things that were completely not regulated in any way, shape, or form and still aren't. So we're in that position, and because we weren't recognized appropriately, grants were next to impossible. So it was very, very difficult to try to manage it. You're working as you can just bail on your business and leave all of these people hanging, or you try to save your business with the zero income because now you're just shifting business. So it's not like you have income coming in. So it was a very unique situation for sure. But because we're not brick and mortar as well, and because I have freelancers and not employees, I didn't fall into certain categories. So nearly every category was missed.
Wow. And there are so many entrepreneurs that are like you. And clearly there has to be an overhaul of the whole system, but whether that will happen, who's to say? But for yourself, Nancy, I mean, going through all of this, seeing what your friend Sherry has gone through, does this put added pressure on you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I knew a lot of what, oh, I'm going to get emotional. I knew a lot of what Sherry was going through, right? Like I work with her. There's nobody that I talk to as much as Sherry. Nobody, and I don't even think I talk to my husband as much as I talk to Sherry. So it's just, we have this passion project with Made to Grow, and it was just so very important to us to continue to support, because this was really when women in this industry and entrepreneurs needed the support. So as our businesses were ramping up with stress, our Made to Grow also was ramping up because people needed support, and sometimes it just came down to emotional support.
Yeah.
So that was a really interesting sort of standpoint for us as well. But watching what happened with Sherry, and when she finally made the decision, because I watched her bust her butt to try to really save that business, and I saw her put her blood, sweat, and tears into it. And for her, after all of that, to still have to make the decision, it just really made it a reality that this can be anybody, and it can be anybody tomorrow, because there is, like, our life jackets, our preservers they're drained, they're empty. Nobody has anything left. And unless you want to go into an extraordinary amount of debt, we cannot go into any more lockdowns. We can't go into any more closures. We can't have any more blindsides at this point. So that, on top of even considering that they even whisper us potentially being closed again in the future, it's a very scary position. And she just made the reality, like, or us realize that the reality of closing is definitely right in front of our faces, for sure.
That has to be a huge, huge dagger hanging loosely over so many heads. I'm going to go quickly to Sylvia. Hearing these two now, and you yourself are a businesswoman and an entrepreneur, but in your line of work, though, how important is it for women, especially, to have that life preserver of a friend like Sherry and Nancy both have, to even get through, all of these crazy circumstances?
This is going to sound dramatic, but it could be life-saving, literally. In every sense of the word. Rollo May is a psychologist that I quote in one of my presentations. And the quote that I love from Rollo May is, "There is no greater gift that one human being can give to another than that of understanding." And so having a sister to walk with you, and I also think it was Ram Dass that said, we're here to walk each other home. Having someone to walk with you, no one can take the suffering, no one can take your stress. It's actually not meant for anyone but you. All of those circumstances, and I'm preaching to the converted here, but all of those circumstances that we all went through were meant for us. And even the closure of your business, was part of a divine master plan to move you in another direction, as horrible as it is. And I loved your analogy earlier about being thrown a brick. The analogy I use all the time is, if you don't listen when the universe whispers and tugs, you will get thrown off a cliff. Mm-hmm. There is a point at which you will stand on the edge of a cliff, terrified that you are going to fall, and you will get the shove, but you always fly. You just don't know that you can. And there's that expression that a bird never fears a branch breaking because it always trusts its wings. Mm-hmm. So that degree of surrender is surrender to your purpose. Like, I know what my purpose on the planet is, and I can't stop myself. Nobody else can stop me because it's not mine to stop. So I knew that everything would be directed the way it was supposed to. And what happened for me is, and maybe this is, I don't know if I intentionally or subconsciously had this plan all along to have multiple revenue streams, but I have so many moving parts to my business that I was able to switch back to coaching without attempting to. People just started contacting me and saying, are you still doing coaching? Well, I wasn't traveling. I do a lot of my professional speaking in the United States. I wasn't traveling anymore. I mean, people didn't want speakers here either. And when they did, it was like, could you do it for $300? Well, people look at me and go, holy smokes, you made $300 for an hour on Zoom? Yeah, but I'm not doing that every day. And I wasn't even doing it every week. Like, it was not covering my groceries. So there were those moments, but somehow the universe directed people back to my roots, which is I cut my teeth as an occupational therapist in the field of mental health, psychiatry. And so people started contacting me and saying, are you still doing coaching? And I hadn't for 6 years. And I said, absolutely. So, I can do that from all over the world, right? And so that's the thing that helped me get through financially, because even some of the consulting work that I do in production, manufacturing, healthcare, they shut their doors to contractors for months at a time, 4 times. And right now there is still one company in this city that, since the rise of Omicron, has shut doors to contractors. So I haven't been there since December.
Wow.
So I really feel so awful for the people who have lost their businesses. I just want to say to anybody that is struggling out there, please open your mind, your heart, your soul to the possibility that something better is coming. As awful as it is, it's the one thing we have 100% success rate at. And that's getting through problems. Whatever problems that you've ever had in the past are in the past. You got through them all. You'll get through this. It's not going to be easy, but we've all had to, I hate the word pivot. We did it.
You can say pirouette.
Yes, we've all had to pirouette. And here we are doing the best we can with, the new circumstances of our life, and hoping for success, because we are living our passion, right? We're living our purpose. It's the reason we're here.
Oh, yes. And I want to say too, thanks so much, Sylvia, but welcome to Rana. Hello there. So yeah, the subject, business, small business, entrepreneurs, and you fit into that too. And well,
I do.
You do. Yeah. And survival.
Sylvia, it's such a great perspective, right? That, and I appreciate your words. I just kind of caught the tail end of it, and I apologize for my tardiness. I was just on another call. But it's Sylvia's point to, things happen. Things will happen. And, this was kind of a circumstance outside all of our realm of knowledge or possibility or preparation in any way. But the truth of the matter is, when people get sick, it's kind of the same thing. When people get into accidents, it's the same thing. When people, it's always this unexpected kind of, slap in the face that makes you have to figure it out and get up and do it. But all that being said, there's no doubt that there was a lot of struggling and a lot of people suffering, and a lot of people lost, if not their livelihoods, but businesses that they put their, blood, sweat, and tears into for a lot of times. And some weren't actually in positions to do anything virtual. They weren't the type of business that could be, transferred easily into a virtual world. So people lost. And, to that, what I would actually say is, we have to, I think this is a learning experience. Like, we just need to be ourselves more prepared. I think for me, I had a big issue with the fact that we were all struggling, like even us, like I know for lawyers, like, you know how I managed my own world. I had to cut a lot of things out. I was still paying for my office. I wasn't able to go into my office. I had like double the expenses, half quarter of the income. Things weren't great. You know what I mean? Things were not great. But I did learn a lot through that process. I did learn a lot through that process. I feel like I'm a much more accomplished businesswoman in that sense. So there are things that came out of that for me that don't have a dollar value, perhaps. They don't have a dollar value, but I learned so much from that process in terms of my own capabilities. And like Sylvia said, like there's passions that we always just kind of had a thumb down on because we need to make the bare and minimum meet, like we just need to survive, right? So we don't really think about passion. We just be like, well, this is my business. I got to keep, in the wheel, keep the payments coming, make sure I'm making enough every month. But if we really look at it, we had some great opportunities to really dig deep into like, what is it that we really even want to do, and I'm a big, and again, Sylvia, like me and you are soul sisters in our business minds at this point. I 100% believe as we move forward in society at this point in life, we have to figure out multiple streams of income. You just have to. If you're a single person who has the payments of a double person, you have to figure out where that money's coming from. And it's kind of exciting and scary at the same time. And the exciting part is that we have all these opportunities to be online and, sell all of our passions or our unique quirks that we may have. And the negative part of it is you got to really dig deep and start fresh, figure it out, But I know that there was a conversation, I probably missed it, just about government help and, who was helping who in this. I don't know if we've had this conversation already. Did I miss it?
Well, we were about to start it. I know. Okay. So we'll get into it because we need to. I know
Great
that
segue.
that Nancy has to leave. So Nancy, I'm going to give you the opportunity, anything that you want to say. We will get into Made to Grow. Do we want to talk about that? Sherry's kind of nodding her head. I know that event is coming up in May, I believe, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and I think it's Sherry and your baby, right? Your gift.
Mm-hmm. It is. So it's funny how the universe just brings us together with people that just totally make sense in our life at the moment. So when Sylvia started speaking, I was nodding my head so hard. I was like, I think I was being noisy over here. But I was like, yeah. So much of it just connected with us. So May 9th is the Made to Grow Project annual event. So we're going to gather together again as women entrepreneurs. And the idea is that we really want to be supporting one another, and whether it is in friendship or whether it's and Sherry always says that it's the best friend in business you never knew you needed. And it's so true. And through the pandemic, like, man, have we noted the importance of the support of a community, especially when you are a solopreneur. And it's just been remarkable how we're getting that. And although Sherry's had to close her business, which is really unfortunate, the incredible thing is she has an entire community standing behind her that's just ready to jump on board with what she's doing next. So she's already booking new clients for her next ventures. Like it's crazy just how these things can so beautifully come together. So when we really are open-minded and really following what the universe has planned for us, right? And listening to those cues, things really do work out. But I know I have to head off. We have this event and it just really is an opportunity to meet like-minded individuals that are just really there to come together and support one another. And that's really what we need. And the more women in business, the more we want to support each other and the more we're referring each other. And that's the beauty of our community. It's just been incredible. So we still have 20 tickets available. That's all we have left.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I know we're in a really good position. We're super excited. We're super looking forward to this event. We have some great things up our sleeve.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Yes.
So thank you for having me tonight. Can't wait to watch this later and actually hear the rest of the conversation. So have a lovely night, everybody. Thanks, Tracy, for having me. Have a great night.
Yes, you too. Thanks so much, Nancy.
Nice meeting you guys.
Yes. Okay, so Sherry, more about the Made to Grow project, and more importantly, your next venture. And then we're going to get into government, I promise, because I need to know more about this.
Yeah. So, the one thing, like what Nancy said, when we started this Made to Grow project 3 years ago, it was because we couldn't find what we needed. And, I would go to these different events, and yes, it was inspiring. And you'd meet some people, but I was already inspired. So I didn't need to be inspired. What I needed was tactile tools. I needed to grow my business. I needed to keep moving forward. And so that's what we were very intentional when we book our speakers. We want people that are going to be able to move you up. Okay, we want to keep continually growing. And that's why it's called Made to Grow, because we are made to grow. We are meant to progress. And, so many people said to me, aren't you sad about your business closing? I said, you know what? I had a cry day. You bet. I'm sad. I'm going to grieve for it. It was a lot of work for sure. And, especially when you have seen your business going up, 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 and you're almost right there to that big goal you had, just for it to sink. And now I've been in a deficit for 2 years. I can't even sell the business. That sucked. Okay. But I can sit there and stare at that door and just be stuck there and sad. And it's just not my personality though. Okay. I'm just all about positivity. I always have been, and I always will be. And so I knew that I had more to do for sure. So I started looking at, and one of the people that is in our community, her name is Wendy Hofford, and she does Clifton Strengths. I don't know if anybody's heard of this.
I just did mine. It's so cool.
It's so fabulous. And
So
when
cool.
yes. And then we have other people that talk about, getting into your authenticity and trusting your intuition. So when you know your strengths and you know how to feed them, then you are going to easily progress forward. So I right away I had a conversation with Wendy, because we've already done my strengths and we've had our few chats. And it was like, okay, I think maybe, I'm a creative. I'm an outside the box thinker. I'm an idea generator. What can I do with all of this? And I love local, and I love supporting women in business. So I just decided that I was going to be a creative consultant. And I have the ear and the trust of the small business community, because I also advocate for them. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's just a natural progression. And again, having all my connections, this network, which I cannot emphasize enough the importance of in business. You need to show up, speak up, and just get involved like that. And yeah, it's a little hard, right? When you're just easing in. We make it easy though. And that is what's going to fuel me. That's what's helping. They're going to all be referring me. I'm going to be referring them. And that's the great thing about this network too, is those people are top of mind, especially the ones that show up and speak up all the time, right? Right. And you never know when you have opportunity to speak about somebody or refer somebody. You're always going to be meeting people that are going to need something. And so I knew someone that just made dog treats, and it's like, oh, great. What is so special about your dog treats? Tell me that. I always want to know that why, right? Tell me your why. And then I connect with the why. So that's what I'm going to be doing. But also I looked at the small business community and what they were needing. And one of the things that was really lacking was marketing opportunities. You cannot have this build it, they will come mentality. But at the same time, it's really hard to get the affordable opportunities, especially like in print magazines. You want to be thinking like a big business, but you're doing it on a small business budget. And I respect that. And I understand that because I've walked the walk. So I look to my network again, and Jamie, who is the publisher of the Mint Experience, a fantastic magazine that I really love because she tells the stories behind the business. So we really connected a lot there. And I went to her and I said, you know what, I think you need me. I think you need me to be the small business advocate here. And I have some really great ideas on how I think we can make affordable advertising. And gave her a good pitch, and she knows how I work too. I mean, I'm going to give you 110% of what I do. So created a job for myself essentially with her. And so I'm very excited about that because that's so authentic to me. Like I can just be who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And when creating my branding now around that, it was hilarious because I actually showed my son 2 different logos that I was making. And he goes, well, this one here is totally you. And that's the one that I was thinking about when I was thinking about all the things I enjoy and what I wanted to do. And the other was me being professional. And I was like, you know what? I have this new opportunity, and I am professional, of course, but I really want to be true to who I am and really aligning myself too with people that I know I can help. I'm not going to be for everybody, just as you're not going to be for everybody, and you're not going to be, and that's okay. There's enough for everybody that way. And so if you and I have a discovery call and we realize that we're sinking, and because I don't want to just work with somebody that's just still, playing around thinking about it. I need people that are ready to dig in and do something. And because I'm a doer, I'm an achiever. That's one of my strengths, and I'm an activator. So you got to be ready to hustle here. And yeah, so it's only up from here for sure. And, talking, about what both these ladies have said, we climb Mount Adversity over and over again, but every time we go up, we arm ourselves with new tools that help us get there. But I love those challenging moments. I love those lessons. I'm grateful for those lessons. And so if you can tap into gratitude, I mean, you're going to soar, no problem. That's my spiel there.
Okay.
Amazing.
And it's amazing. Yeah, life isn't as bad as we think. And then
it's never bad.
I know.
It's never bad.
All right. Okay. So let's get into a little bit of nitty gritty, ladies. Niceness off, and be truthful. All right. And let's not sugarcoat it. There has been gossip, especially in the local business world or whatever, about money, about grants, who got, who didn't, and the difficulty of trying to apply to any of these so-called helping funds or helping hand things was ridiculous, I think, and I'm being honest. So, Rana, we'll go with you first. Yeah, she's going, eek. Although I saw you nodding and send out a heart when Sherry was talking about being your authenticity, and she said it so beautifully.
Absolutely, and I'm with you, 100%. You're not everyone's cup of tea, but as long as you're true to yourself, it's all good. So, and a lot of what you said, Sherry, was beautiful and inspiring, and I appreciate your words because it was really powerful to hear. I think today's kind of a tough day to have that conversation because I know there's a by-election happening right now. As in, right now. So this is what I'll say generally speaking about the grants and everything else. And I think I want to be really transparent about this. Okay. So I think the grant process in general, whether it is for this issue, whether it was for small businesses, whether it's for funding for nonprofits, whether it's a federal funding grant for anything else, the grant process as it stands, it doesn't even matter what it's about, federally or provincially, are bananas. They're ridiculous. So let's just start with that. So do I believe that, that politics is politics and things always sway magically towards certain aligned, not aligned groups of people? Yeah, I'm not an idiot. I was in politics. I know how this stuff works, right? I do. And I know that's the case. So I think it's kind of silly for people to deny it or anything else. That is just the way the systems work. And if anyone has heard me talk about anything to do with inequality, these barriers that people face at every level, this is the type of stuff we're talking about. You know what I mean? When we're talking about barriers, systemic issues that, let's say, people face, and I'm always talking about women of color are facing, this is the type of issue that is probably more generalized to a bigger population. right? So now you are sitting in a situation where everyone's just like, oh, well, I didn't get a grant and because this happened and that happened. Yeah. System. The system's messed. Those are the same system that we talk about when we're talking about other things. So for me, you know, I just think, yeah, a lot of people didn't get the grants. A lot of people did. Perhaps it's time to open our eyes about systems.
So what
That's
do
all I'm
we,
gonna say
yeah,
about it.
no, but what do we do? And I think Sherry is part of this too, this wanting to get a movement going because we need to have action. We can sit here and we can have like incredible conversations like we are now, but if it's only going so far and only falling on deaf ears, how are we going to make a change? And we've had all these talks about systemic racism, the system. At what point do we say enough is enough and do some change?
But Trace,
But
I'm just
Daniel,
gonna jump in right there.
yeah,
Let's just okay, let's just call this what it is.
yeah.
People will only dismantle the systems that do not benefit them personally. Let me just say that. So people actually don't want to dismantle those systems. They just want to dismantle the systems that don't benefit them. Okay, so that's the starting point. They don't want the entire. They don't want to go fine tooth comb throughout the bureaucracies and the you know the name, you know, like you're only like, I don't know if you guys remember when I was running for leadership, and I don't want to bring this up, but I'll bring it up. You know, there was a letter that came out and it was just like, you got to be an expert, or you got to be a Trudeau, or you're not a liberal. Like, I don't know if during my time, right? There's stuff like that. There's stuff like that that is woven into these systems. So we can make a change. We can make a change, but it's not going to be, you know, silo changes here and there, right? Like we're talking about deep policy issues. We're talking about no more just people, you know, protesting and somebody reactively, you know, making a change in response to a protest. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for fact-based, evidence-based issues. We're looking for what are more sustainable systems that we can put in place that will benefit people in a better way. What are some things we can put in place so that the decision makers aren't the ones who are benefiting? Their people aren't benefiting. There is some barriers. There's some independence in these structural organizations. Those are really simple and really basic things that can happen. But no one's going to want to do that because the guys at the top who don't want to do that are the guys who have all the power. And why would they want to lose their power? Like, I'm sorry. Like, you know what I mean? It's just not a thing. But I like when Sherry says, you know what, like, yeah, we want to stand up and we want to advocate and we want to bring this to people's attention, you know. But I think the question I would pose is, you know, what do you see as the problem? You know, what is the problem we're trying to address? Are we trying to address that one person got a grant versus not another person? So once we start to get down to that, then we can kind of sift through it and be like, okay, there's bigger ways to do this, better ways to do this. Okay. But it's not going to be, go ahead, Sherry. I want to hear this.
I know. I said, okay, I feel like Judge Judy. Okay, Sherry.
No, and I'm going to say, first off, I am the least political person, okay, because I don't trust politicians at all. And it really just sounded, you know, so complicated for so long. So I definitely turned, you know, away from it. But really the problem is that it's an old boys club. It is.
Yeah.
It's all about who's rubbing shoulders, and it really does come down to that. And so at this point, I think that, I mean, again, I can't look at what has been done. I have to look about what can be done. And I say, like, you know, we're not fitting at this table, so let's build our own damn table. Let's slide in there some new people, new perspectives. But like, you know, what you just said there about, you know, people that need to start getting involved, those are the ones that it's going to benefit. And yet I still do see, you know, yeah, they're all like hearting everything you're saying and they're commenting, you go girl kind of deal. But then when I say, okay, I'm building a table here, I'm inviting everybody because I only know so much from what I've been like Googling. Okay. and, you know, talking with this person and that person that has a little bit more knowledge than what I do. But I still, you know, I needed to take action, because that's the type of person I am. When I really strongly believe and I see that there's just unfairness, everybody should have the same opportunities. I mean, my first post, you know, my tweet there that I don't even tweet, was, you know, I must have missed the application process. Like, I don't understand this. I've been supporting hundreds of local makers. I've launched how many in my store? You know, I feel like that, and I had an online platform already. What I would have thought long term, and especially when we were talking about, you know, the multiple streams of revenue, have like a huge drop shipping site, but let's set all these people up with e-commerce sites. That's just one, or links to services or whatever. It could be a huge database of local, but now let's give them, you know, something that they can move with here and they can grow. And yeah, so I decided that I would compile a letter, and I did that, and it was painstaking, let me tell you, and then find out who to send that to, and then try to get like multiple people to send the letter, because we need to just make noise. I've been told now phone calls really piss them off, so I may go that way, because it's really what was probably the most discouraging thing after, you know, you spend all this time researching, compiling, sending it out, and you get back a cut and paste letter. And none of the specific questions were responded to. That's like, you know, really a piss off. It really is. And so I decided, okay, yeah, let's create this new table, this small business, independent small business council. And like, come, bring your knowledge, speak up. Like, together we can find solutions. Together we can make change happen. I certainly can't do it on my own. I mean, the only thing I can do is a little bit of research here and there. But I can show up, and I'm willing to show up, and I'm willing to learn in multiple platforms. I'm willing to learn. So I think that's the big problem right now. Is it really, is it wrong that one person was given that amount of money? I mean, I personally would have been, I would have been embarrassed knowing so many people needed something like that. I like, just a little teeny piece of that would have been great to stay alive. I'm not self-serving. I think that's a big thing. I think about everybody. I think about our economy, and that's what I'm most worried about now, is the recovery of our economy. When I spoke to somebody at BDO that was helping me make my decision to close my corporation, you know, they said downtown doesn't look to be viable for small business for another 2 years. Youch, that hurts. That hurts to hear. So we really need to advocate for small business. They are the backbone of our economy. They are the ones, I mean, those ground floor retail places are the ones that support those ones up above, right? Yeah. I mean, they just do. We're the ones promoting local. We're the ones that are keeping the money here. So yeah, I'm a little ticked about that. But again, I got to pull into that positivity and belief in that there is solutions, but we need to find all the people to come together, because so far right now, my business meeting that is scheduled for Thursday at 7:30, I have 30 people signed up. 30 people out of the hundreds that, you know, liked the post, commented, were upset to see that I was closing. It's like, you guys are all business owners too. Come and speak up, come and learn together. That's it.
There we go. Complacency, right, Sylvia? Oh, I'm so powered. I'm so empowered by behind my laptop or behind my phone to show my support. But, oh God, I'm not going to say anything. Oh.
Well, and to be fair, there's lots of reasons why people don't attend things, right? Some people have social anxiety. Some people, like, it's theater night. For me, I'll be at the theater. Hopefully I'll see Robin and Charlotte there. Yeah. But there's a variety of reasons why people don't do things that on the surface seem to mean one thing, but you don't really know until you know, you know, what's going on for people. And some people are, you know, I don't know, some people are anxious about being in crowds right now still, you know. I made a comment to somebody the other day who I see very regularly who was not wearing a mask. And I said, it's lovely to see your beautiful smile. And he said, it's lovely to see your beautiful smile. And my daughter said to me, Mom, you should be careful because not everybody's happy to see people without a mask on. And for a moment, I was a little offended because I said, I'm very emotionally intelligent, darling. I know who I can say that to and who I can't. I know this person. But she raised a good point. You know, we just don't know where people are, where their comfort level is. But hopefully before Thursday comes, Sherry, you'll have more people signing up.
Yeah, and this is virtual too, but I totally,
okay, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, you even just to come and learn, okay, and gather information, because like I said, I am the least political person. I want to learn from some others that have more knowledge than me. So I'm begging you to come and show up here. And I totally get the, you know, the finding your voice part in it. Okay, for the longest time, I was scared to speak up. I was scared to, you know, I guess for the, you know, the opinions people might have, for sounding stupid. That was my big one. That was a paradigm though that I had to change myself. So question those things, right? Why are you afraid to show up and speak up? Ask a question. That was mine. Asking questions. I never wanted to look stupid, right?
Oh.
So I respect that absolutely. You know, I really do, but I still think we need to give ourselves a little bit of a push if we want to see change. We can't expect somebody else to be doing it for us.
Oh,
Absolutely.
right. Okay, so Ron, I'm going to ask you, who do we talk to?
I'm writing.
Well, I mean, it's a tough question to answer when, you know, and I say this with all due respect, but the decision makers are your politicians. And if we don't understand the process of how things change, that's, you know, that's the country we live in. That's the democracy we live in. That's the way policies are made. That's the way laws are made. That's the way, you know, that's the system that we are working within. So, and it's not difficult. I mean, this is stuff that we learn as children, right? Like we learned this through our social studies. We should understand. And Tracy, you've heard me, you know, rant about this for years now. When people don't understand their own history, when it's very easily accessible, we kind of perpetuate the same nonsense over and over and over. And then you know what I mean? Like it's readily available, right? It's readily available. You know, you have politicians, you know, you have decision makers, you know, you have ministers in charge of certain areas, certain places, certain avenues, which is beautiful. If you're in small business, you look at your provincial ministers of what their areas of governance is. You know what I mean? Do they have a mandate letter, perhaps, from the federal government or the provincial government? Read their mandate letters. What was the government's throne speech about? Were they talking about supporting small businesses in their throne speech and their promises to their people? So there's just a lot, right? Whether it's municipal, federal, or provincial, you know, I would say that's your starting point. The second thing is that, you know, like I say every day, you know your Constitution, know your rights, know what you are, you know, the parameters in which you live in. You know what I mean? Don't just know it when you want to, you know, oppress people. Know it when you want to, like, come on, like,
educate.
You know what I mean? It goes two ways. And lastly, I will say, when it comes to small businesses, you know, you have organizations in place that have readily available information about all this stuff. You have the chamber, whether it's the Aboriginal chamber, the I know the East Indian chamber, we have one. I know that there's the Winnipeg chamber, there's the Manitoba chamber. Whether or not they're a group that you want to endeavor to engage in, they still have an online presence that allows you to pull information. There's a small business organization, there's a tax, like there's, if you just even go to the federal website, there is readily available, to the point that you should be able to find don't know if it's provincial, but you should also be able to find what merits they were looking for when it came to grants. It's a transparent process. It's right in front of you. And if you
But
can't
then you have to get
it,
them. You have to get them to respond. I mean,
Yeah.
I had all the names. Okay, that was painstaking gathering all those names, and I also had a couple politicians that were feeding the information to that were actually quite helpful. I will say, although I didn't want to be, anybody's kind of pawn in this political kind of game here. I did really appreciate a lot of the insight I got from them. As far as, with the chamber, Chuck Davidson, I'm sorry, I am very, very disappointed in his letter was the worst. And really it's like, I'd do the same way again. That's kind of all you get. So tough luck, no response. And that's what's the discouraging part. What we need to do is have a way to find, to have our voices heard, respected, and responded to.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the bottom line is here.
may I ask, what's because maybe I'm misunderstanding something here. So what's the ask?
Well, we had 3 asks. I'm looking for my letter here.
Because maybe I can be more readily helpful.
Okay, well, you know what? Maybe I'm going to send you a message.
Yeah, send me a message because maybe I could be more helpful.
Yeah,
if
we
I
had
know
3.
exactly.
We had 3 asks, and one of the big ones definitely was like, what was the decision-making process in this? That was one of the big ones. We wanted to have answered. It was not, questioning. I didn't even bring up Abi Khan in it. Like that wasn't even it. It was more about wanting to understand the processes. And so that was the big one. But I had 3 main questions that we had compiled, and none of them were directly responded to.
Well, it seems like that's the same old story, but I can kind of see, and I could be wrong, but I'm sensing a shift. And when shifts happen, good things and, maybe not so good things will happen. And I think, Sherry, you are on the right direction of creating a movement. And whether or not, yes, I think slowly but surely you will get people who need a voice. And, how we go about it, it will be organic, like your business. And I don't know, I do sense a shift, and hopefully, some good will be had out of all of it. But and I think there is a fighting spirit. Do you feel that, Sylvia? Like,
Yes.
well, I know Sherry has it, yeah, and I know Rana has it in a different sense, and I really would love to see synergies. And I guess my only question is, who can we get from the political side, or an organization, just to tell us how a process goes? How does a policy like that come into place? And to get those answers, I think would help a lot of people. And, maybe it would shut some of us up who've been complaining, right? If it was, this is how it's done, okay. But it's never as simple as that. I just want, Rana, you've got a furrowed brow. I'm just commenting.
I was just thinking about something. Something just popped into my head. So I was like, Sherry, check this out.
Okay. Well, as there's these online chats going, thank you so much, Sherry, though.
Here, you know what? Before we hang up, I'll send her my email. Just hang on for a second.
Yes, you send
just
Rana.
So I can,
yeah.
Just so I can help out in any way that I know how, please.
And Sherry, for everybody out there, this meeting on Thursday, where can we go if we want to join?
Yeah, you can send me an email. I'm still using my Generation Green one. I have a hard time detaching from it. It's generationgreenwpg@gmail.com. Just drop me a note saying, small business support, and then I will be sure to send you the link, the Zoom link for 7:30 on Thursday, the 24th.
All right. Okay. And keep us informed. If Hue can help in any way, shape, or form, maybe we do something on a bigger sense moving forward and getting more people on board, men and women. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much, ladies. It's been, again, always an interesting conversation. I don't want this one to slide, though. I encourage any other business owners that have been listening to this conversation, please let us know and let your voice be heard. Definitely. Okay, so thank you so much. Have a wonderful
bye.
evening.
Have a good night, you guys. Sharon,
Yes.
it was nice meeting you. I sent you my email.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
We're all
Okay.
connected. Thank you,
Bye.
Sylvia. Good to see you. Thanks, Rana.
Thanks, Tracy.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.